no evil befall us, and let the Techiman area prosper through this farm.
For millennia before the advent of Western medicine, traditional peoples have attended to their own medical needs. To the Bono people of West Africa, disease is caused either naturally or by spiritual agents, and treated through a system of herbalism and spiritual possession.
Can she remove this or not?
Today, a new kind of medicine is supplementing the healer's efforts. And these Western-trained doctors and health workers are finding the indigenous healers to be important allies in providing comprehensive health care in upcountry Ghana. The Bono are an ethnic group of the Akan-speaking peoples. They live in central Ghana, a country which gained independence from British rule in 1957. An agricultural people, the Bono raise cocoa and tobacco as cash crops, and a variety of food crops, including cassava, yams, and corn. Techiman, a town of about 20,000, has been the capital for the Techiman Bono for centuries. Its weekly market regularly draws 140,000 merchants and shoppers from throughout Ghana and neighboring countries. Many have settled permanently. Today, Techiman is comprised of nearly 70 different ethnic groups, speaking more than 90 languages. Primary education is compulsory in Techiman, and most students continue to secondary school. Weekly, students' hands and teeth are inspected to promote personal hygiene, and physical fitness is encouraged. In the Catholic churchyard, a traditional Bono funeral takes place. Christian and Muslim Bono continue to perform traditional funeral rites a week or so after their Orthodox religion burial ceremony. The deceased are believed to have the ability to promote the well-being of the living community, and so are remembered and honored.
لا شريك له شهادة بها على دوام نشهد وأشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا محمد.
Communal prayers are held at Techiman's main mosque each Friday, and Muslims also pray during the week at dozens of smaller mosques. There are also 20 different Christian churches, but most Bono follow a traditional religion centuries old. For more than 50 years, Nana Kofi Owusu has been the religious leader for the village of Krobo near Techiman. Like most Bono, he believes in a single God who created the universe, and who also created deities or spirits through which human beings can communicate with him. Nana Owusu worships God through the deities, who reside in shrines, usually kept in a special room in the family compound. The most prominent are the brass pan shrines, which rest on hand-carved stools, symbols of authority also used by elders and chiefs. Each shrine is owned by a specific family. As senior priest and caretaker for his family shrines, Nana Owusu regularly offers food and libations of schnapps to the shrine's deity as sacrifices to accompany prayer.
I must care for my shrines very well and give them food to eat. To determine who will take over my shrines after I die, we will gather all the young men in the family. Each will in turn carry the shrine on his head until one is chosen by the spirit and becomes possessed. That person will then be trained to care for my shrine. That was what happened to me.
When a deity, which is essentially a spirit, descends upon a human being, the presence of the deity in that person makes the person behave in what one might describe as an abnormal way. He may shout, he may grunt, he may wriggle his body, he may even roll on the ground, but all this is because of the presence of the supernatural or the spirit in him. And sometimes, or most of the times, the person who is possessed is not aware of what is happening. It's only after the deity has left or the person has recovered that he would be reminded of what had happened.
At the Monokuo ceremony, a religious gathering held by each village every 42 days, Nana Owusu prepares to become possessed by his shrine's deity. Although priests and priestesses from outside his family may also become possessed by the deity, only Nana, the senior priest, is allowed to carry the shrine. While under possession, priests and priestesses are particularly vulnerable. Nana Owusu carries a sword and wears charms around his body to protect him from spiritual attacks and strengthen him for possession. The herbal bath will thwart any evil a rival priest might have placed in his path, and white powder is distributed to foster goodness and purity. Nana Owusu's main shrine is a cloth-covered brass pan, representing the principal Tano shrine at the source of the Tano River. Tano is the Bono's oldest and most prominent deity, and provides their strongest link with God. Carrying the shrine allows the Tano deity to enter Nana's body and guide him in his work as a spiritual leader, and also as an herbalist and healer.
Now, possession is not also a mere make-believe, because through possession, namely through the presence of the deity in a person, knowledge is imparted. In my own research experience, certain cures have come to herbalists when they are in a state of possession. They'll go into the forest, led by the spirit, and bring a leaf or a herb or a root which they wouldn't have known before, but only in a state of possession when they were guided by the deity to that particular herb to help in the treatment of diseases.
Someone may be in his house and be uncomfortable there. Maybe he is even sick. If the person comes to me, I will carry the shrine, and the spirit will tell us what to do. Tano may say, give him this medicine, and when that is done, the person will return to normal.
Bono healers receive their knowledge of plant medicines through the deities. Kofi Dunkor is one such healer and caretaker for several Tano shrines. Like most healers, his principal occupation is farming. He heals 2 days a week.
This patient has a spiritual disease. This leg may stop functioning. We may administer his medicine in many ways, as nose drops, vapor, drink, bath, or enema. I can cure many kinds of diseases, including cold, fever, retroversion of the uterus, and others. If I had to describe all the diseases I have healed, it would take a large volume. My spirit reveals to me in dreams which medicines to give to my patients. The spirit tells me whether to use the root, the bark, or the leaves of a tree. The spirit may direct me to pound the stem of a specific tree into medicine for a particular patient, so it always works, if it's the will of God.
Kobina Isa is chief of the herbalists in Techiman. On his weekly healing day, he prepares plant medicines for his patients, medicines which his spirit revealed to him in dreams. Like most herbalists, Isa has a wide range of botanical knowledge, involving which parts of which plants may affect a cure for a given patient.
Take this medicine and give it to your mother. Tell her to scrape it, add ginger, and boil it. She should give it to your children to drink. Then all the sores in their stomachs will heal.
The Bono traditionally believe most diseases have natural causes, such as small organisms or a poor diet. They practice disease prevention by careful personal hygiene, thoroughly cooking food and isolating those who are ill. But the Bono also see other kinds of disease, such as osoro, a spiritual ailment which causes convulsions.
Madam, your children are attacked by osoro. Cut this medicine into small pieces and put it in a bowl of water. Bathe the children with it 3 times daily, and osoro will no longer overcome them.
Now, it is important in our understanding of man that there is an aspect of man which the Akan call sunsum, which is the spiritual cause of illness. And so it's believed when you fill your head with hatred and envy and anger, these thoughts, we believe, press against your sunsum and make you sick.
In addition to the Tano priests and priestesses and other herbalists, Bono society is protected by another kind of healer, the witch catcher. Witch-catching healers specialize in treating patients with spiritual diseases, including those caused by witchcraft. Witch-catching healers are priests or priestesses of the witch-catching shrines and may become possessed by the Bono's other principal deity, the Aboso Marafu.
We have two types of shrines, the Tunnel Shrine and the witch-catching shrines. We need the witch-catching shrines because there are evil people on earth. The spirits of the witch-catching shrine see to it that if any person goes to perform evil, he will be caught and exposed to the public. Or if any evil person goes to kill, he will be punished.
The Aboso Marafu, or witch-catching deities, reside in leather and cloth-covered shrines after being taken from the forest by a priest or priestess. Aboso Marafu also receive libations and sacrifices, accompanying prayers to the deity.
Almighty One, I have drink for you. May you bless our efforts here. We ask of you life and strength. Protect us as we travel in taxis and buses. Thwart any evil that may stand in our way.
Carrying the witch-catching shrine, an Aboso Marafu priest allows the deity to enter his body. Witch-catching shrines are usually kept in round shrine houses some distance from the village, where their power will not interfere with daily village life. The Aboso Marafu deities often request that artwork be presented to their shrines. Statues may please the deity or contain protective medicines. At the village of New Jama, statues attract invisible dwarfs from the forest to entertain the witch-catching deity.
Belief in witchcraft is not a mark of an uneducated or illiterate person. There are many educated Africans who believe in witchcraft because it's a fact, it's a force, which is experienced daily in their own lives and in the lives of Africans. It helps them to explain events that would otherwise remain inexplicable. My own researches for the past 15 years have brought me to a belief in it because I have ample evidence to show that there is a force called witchcraft, or any other word one might want to use, that is at work in human society, which brings about untold suffering and hardship on people. And that there are in the society people like herbalists and priestesses who can actually combat this evil force. Diseases go to the hospital which are caused by witchcraft, which doctors cannot handle, and they are often, those patients are often sent back to these herbalists who know how to handle such diseases and treat such people successfully.
My shrine arrested a person accused of witchcraft, and her accoutrements are gathered here. A man came to me because his work was not going on well. He had to spend all his money on illness in his family and for debts which he did not understand. He brought a chicken as a gift and prayed to the shrine to help him. The shrine told him to return and bring another chicken, some drink, and a knife for sacrifice. The spirit assured him things would be all right, and about a month later, his daughter fell ill, nearly to the point of death. When the spirit catches someone in that way, they cannot speak, eat, or go to toilet unless they confess their witchcraft. She was taken to the hospital, but the doctors, with all their instruments, could not diagnose the problem. At the hospital, she started confessing and told them to take her to my shrine because it was the one which had caught her. She said it was she who was causing her father these problems. She said, when my father gets money, I blow it away. I blow it away just like that. She also spiritually blew fire into the eyes of a man who owed her father money, so he could not return. And she spiritually destroyed her sister's womb, so she would have unnecessary miscarriages. So the spirit of the shrine arrested her, and here are her things. Sometimes the witch-catching spirits will judge the evildoer, and if his evil is too great, they will kill him. Or if the evil is pardoned, they will demand a fine, maybe a sheep or a cow for sacrifice, and the witchcraft will leave. This bear's head should not surprise you. Some people can turn themselves into animals and go into your farm and destroy your crops. A farmer came to me. He would fall unconscious while working in the fields. The spirit told him a witch was causing his downfall. A witch who could turn himself into an animal. The shrine told him what kind of an animal it was, and he was to return to the farm, find that animal, and shoot it. And when that was done, he found his uncle had taken very ill and having severe headaches. His uncle died soon after, having been killed by the shrine. This is the head of the animal he killed.
You hear a lot about witchcraft at these herbalists and shrines, and that too cannot be understood without relation to our concept of man. Again, we come back to this idea of sunsum, which is a spiritual part of man. And our belief is that the sunsum of every person is able to leave the body during sleep and travel. And in the case of those who are witches, it is their sunsum which leaves their bodies to engage in those nocturnal mischiefs that we attribute to witchcraft.
As preparation for possession, a Bolsumurafu priest, Kofi Ifa, is decorated with a mixture of medicinal plants to protect him from evil and symbolically transform him into a communicator with God. Praises are sung to beckon the deity.
Anka no bre ajansi kunu. Aje aboma. Aboma na ye. Yanwe brebe na yo awo. Ye aboma. Aboma na ye. Brebe na yo awo. Aje aboma. Aboma na ye. Yanwe brebe na yo awo. Ye aboma. Aboma na yo awo. Brebe na yo awo. Aye, akwasi. Aje flower bro. Oframo flower bro. Hey.
In his witch-catching shrine house, Kofi Ifa prepares to sacrifice a chicken, a gift to the shrine and its deity for allowing his monocuo ceremony to be filmed. Like most priests, Kofi Ifa is also an herbalist. A child suffering from constipation is examined, and medicine made from tree root is prescribed. Like many healers, Ifa carefully records each patient's condition and treatment. He expects no payment for his services until after the patient is cured. Greetings are important in Bono society, and the deity, now arriving through Kofi Ifa, must welcome his guests. Among them, Kofi Dunkur, Ifa's mentor. Like most witch-catching healers, Ifa can become possessed when away from his shrines. To demonstrate its strength and vitality, Kofi Ifa displays an infant, born of a woman thought to be barren before he applied an herbal cure. As the deity leaves his body, Kofi Ifa loses consciousness and is carried into the shrine house. He emerges moments later, possessed by a different deity from another of his shrines. Aside from providing herbal remedies and catching witches, Kofi Ifa and his deities have a special function. Every 42 days at the village Monokwo ceremony, a deity speaks through him to the community in a special language interpreted by a trained linguist. Through the priest, the deity exposes deviant behavior, criticizing villagers whose actions may be harmful to the community. Adulterers may be exposed, unscrupulous shopkeepers criticized, or a mother ridiculed for not caring well for her child. Behavior of the village members is monitored through this good-natured airing of grievances, and the mental health of the society is maintained.
A human being, we believe, is made up of body and soul. And these two parts must be in balance before one can achieve good health. If one part, either the body or the spiritual part of man, is sick or injured, the whole body becomes sick. And that's why our herbalists go through rituals and other things in order to bring about the necessary balance that will restore health in time of sickness. Possession is an important part of our traditional worship. It simply shows the close interaction between spirit and matter, spirits and human beings. And this is an example of the unity, really. Possession is the example of the unity which we recognize as existing between the spiritual world and the human world.
The government of Ghana's Ministry of Health has, for the past few decades, been providing limited Western healthcare services to Techiman. Community health clinics operate in most of the larger towns, but modern healthcare is expensive. In the past few years, the Ministry of Health has expended nearly 85% of its budget on hospital and specialist services, which are accessible to only about 10% of Ghana's population, those in or near the larger cities. For this reason, community health clinics are now promoting primary health care, the prevention of disease through vaccinations and improved nutrition. It was necessary to extend this primary health care effort to the villages. At the village of Bowohomoden, health workers from Techiman's Holy Family Hospital examine babies for signs of malnutrition and disease. Mothers are instructed to prepare protein-rich, nutritious foods for their children. Similar clinics are held by the Ministry of Health. But with nearly 3/4 of Ghana's population residing in some 46,000 small villages, such clinics can hope to reach only a fraction of Ghana's rural people. And because of a continually growing population, the incidence of infectious disease continues to increase in many of the rural areas due to malnutrition and poor sanitation.
What this enteric fever actually comes from maybe bad sanitation, because you get, say if one fellow has enteric fever in Techiman here, and he contaminates the source of water, as many people that drink it, who do not have immunity, who are not immune against this enteric fever, will definitely get it. You see, and you see we have a lot of open dumping, indiscriminate defecation and all that sort of thing, and it all drains into the water, and they use this same water to wash the meat. So if there is anybody in Techiman here who says he does not drink water from this stream, he's a liar, because it means the fellow doesn't eat meat at all. The slaughter slab now is open. There's no shed on it. It's not divided. With a normal slaughter slab, you have to get a place for keeping the animals, maybe overnight. So that the animals rest. But right now we don't have anything like that. They just come in and we slaughter straight. And it's open. It's open to any type of contamination, flies, winds, and even air pollution.
Holy Family Hospital was Techiman's first Western healthcare facility, founded in 1954. Aside from prevention clinics in the villages, Its main focus is outpatient and inpatient care, providing a pharmacy and surgical facilities. Because of Holy Family's long standing in the community, the people of Techiman see little conflict between this modern health service and the traditional healers. Most will attend whichever, in their experience, provides the most effective treatment for their particular ailment. But because of this acceptance and the near doubling of Techiman's population in the last 20 years, the hospital's facilities are severely taxed.
As you can see, it's Friday and OPD is busy. This relates to the market and many lorries coming in and people being able to get transport to come into the hospital. Last year we had 120,000 OPD visits alone, and from that about 5,500 inpatients. This is a tremendous load for a small hospital in the rural areas. Much of what we see in the OPD is preventable and can be treated in the villages. And for this reason, we are trying to get as much auxiliary help as we can in the villages and in the surrounding areas. This saves the people from having to come in. They can get treatment sooner in the villages. And the hospital then can act as a hospital and really treat the seriously ill patients that would be referred in from the villages.
The final objective, of course, is that all communities should have the services of scientifically trained, knowledgeable, skillful health workers. But it's unlikely that this will come in our time, certainly not by the year 2000. On the other hand, we must face the fact that when these communities have health problems, when they're sick, it's not the nurse or midwife in the district that they go to first, certainly not the physician. They go to the healers first, and they do very often exactly what the healer tells them. And for this reason, it's very important that health professionals should get close enough to the healers in order at least to influence them in their advice to these patients.
Don't get me wrong, there are many ill effects of native treatment we see every day and we recognize it. But I think it is better in the long run to cooperate with the healers than to fight them and try to teach them as we are doing in the course. When we fall ill in the West, we go to the nearest drugstore and buy ourselves some aspirin tablets. In this area, when people fall ill, they first go to the nearest traditional healer for first treatment. I think if we can teach this first line of healthcare to cooperate with us, I think we make a major step forwards.
At Kofi Dunkor's compound, instructors from Holy Family Hospital and Ghana's Ministry of Health begin the first of 14 weekly training sessions to educate the healers in the basics of Western primary health care. The project, named Primary Health Care Training for Indigenous Healers, PRETI for short, is a cooperative effort between Holy Family Hospital, the Ghana Psychic and Traditional Healers Association, and Ghana's Ministry of Health. PRETI is unique in that it does not discourage the native practices, but offers feasible alternatives to traditional treatment. Kofi Dunkor's first training group, comprised of his apprentice herbalists, learned how to instruct parents to prepare protein-rich, nutritious foods for their children.
It was an unexpected development in the project, I think, that they are so enthusiastic about receiving the program. That always kind of astounds me. In fact, we've got such a backload of people that want to join the project that we can't simply accommodate in any reasonable amount of time, that I find myself making excuses for why we're moving so slowly. Well, we've got limited funds, we've got limited resources, limited personnel. But there is no mistake that the healers are very receptive to the project, very enthusiastic, and very interested.
I must say the greatest reluctance on the part of people, if you want to categorize them or group them, has been on the part of those that have had the Western-oriented or the allopathic training. They've been They were quite hesitant at first about working with the traditional healers. Many of them had very negative attitudes towards their practices and so on. But as they have continued with them, and we've drawn a lot of different people into the training program, and as they've had contact with the healers, their respect for them has gone up quite a bit, and we're finding that there's much more of a peer relationship now between the different categories of health workers than existed previously.
A favorite training session teaches the healers improved methods of hygienically preparing and storing their herbal medicines. It is taught by James Duncor, Regional Secretary of the Ghana Psychic and Traditional Healers Association.
I'm going to show you how you can clean and preserve medicinal plants so you can use them at a later time. So you can always have medicines in stock and won't need to go looking for medicine after a patient arrives. Every time you bring fresh leaves like these from the forest, first put them in water and clean them well so any dirt or insects on them may be washed away. If you don't do this, it can cause another illness in the patient.
There are various categories of healers, and perhaps the commonest ones are the herbalists who have a tremendous knowledge of medicinal plants and herbs that heal in their community. In this day and age where the economics of life has become very important in third world countries, we cannot overlook the possibilities of local herbal medicines being used, particularly for the simpler ailments.
The next question is that we are going to talk about the treatment of wounds. Yeah? So if I make a wound on my leg, yeah, then someone else has to show me how he's treating that. When someone is coming in the village with a wound while he is farming, what will happen then? Yeah? So I'll make a nice wound here.
What's it?
So the doctor comes with the wound, yeah? So what is he doing first? Yeah?
Besides nutrition and herbal preparation, Preti training sessions also cover the treatment of convulsions, diarrhea and rehydration, houseflies and the spread of disease, measles, family planning, and basic first aid.
Okay.
Suppress. And what is he going to do next?
Now we are inside here now, but
the bleeding stops.
And stop.
The bleeding has stopped. He presses again.
You finish?
So, bleeding stopped. Yeah? What is he going to do then?
Okay. We are the so. For you, Papa, idea for Massandia to so. Okay.
No. There's first something else. What's your
baby?
He has to do something else because the wound is dirty. The wound is dirty.
If you have a big any move and then a woman, dear, many Baba Fee, so maybe Fia, Maurosa.
Very good, yeah? And then, like this, huh? Like this. Scrub it, like this, yeah? Hard. With water and soap, yeah? Really hard. Okay.
Some water.
And then he can put on the dressing, yeah?
I feel what we now sell vegetables.
So it is very important that he keeps it clean, yeah?
Okay.
Washing, so pressing till the bleeding has stopped. When the bleeding has stopped, he cleans it with water and soap. When it's bleeding again, he presses again, yeah? And then he can put on clean cloth.
Unlike Western health workers, the indigenous healers are already well established as healthcare practitioners and have an intimate knowledge of the Bono Society's values and priorities. They also are not inclined to leave the rural areas for higher paying positions in the cities, as are secondary school students with formal healthcare training.
So what is the most important thing in the treatment of wounds? The most important thing, that is?
So what it is, so I know you have my dear and here power.
This year, parents say, Sabaya Fee come, Fee, Uncle Kurani. So, yes, sir, a wooden kura, Mabba funeral, Sam Hofro, the Fee come, as I'm the doctor, my doctor Copam.
So we stop the bleeding, clean the wound, and then a clean dressing. Yeah? And after that, they all know we should advise the man with the wound to go to hospital for injection for tetanus.
Ghana's National Psychic and Traditional Healers Association was initiated in 1969. But July 1981 was the first time a district-wide meeting of all types of healers, including herbalists, priest and priestess healers, and Muslim healers, was held in the Techiman district. Prompted by the enthusiasm and cooperation generated by the Preti project, the healers met to discuss the future of their practices.
God Almighty, here is drink. Mother Earth, here is drink. Today, herbalists, priests and priestesses, and doctors have all united, and we are meeting to consider our medicines so that we may administer them better. Take this drink and let us prosper from our endeavors here. Let success attend the work of all herbalists and health workers. It is our tradition from the ancient times, and we will not discard it. Kwabena Mensah is our chairman. Time was when there was division between us herbalists, priests and priestesses, and Muslim practitioners, but that day is gone. The government has urged us to cooperate so that we may be united as one professional people. The government expects that our roots and our herbs may be preserved so that when we are gone, our knowledge will not disappear. And I pray that God and Tano and all the ancestors will stand behind us so the next generation may inherit what we leave behind. I hope you've all heard what Nana Mensah has said. Formerly, there was a great deal of difference between doctors and herbalists. And even if herbalists treated someone and then sent him to the hospital, the doctors would be angry. For this reason, we started the training program to teach you to keep your medicines clean. Your medicines can cure many diseases, but the conditions under which you administered them made them objectionable to the doctors. Today, this is no more. And our program is not only looking at medicine, but anything that is bad in Techiman. We have requested that the district council keep the public toilets clean by covering them up and keeping the flies away. The source of water was not clean. We helped to improve it. If some section of the town is dirty, we help to clean it up. I am going to suggest some things we can do among ourselves. Many organizations are successful because they are united and they are not afraid to pay dues.
An active, organized Healers Association has had other benefits for Techiman. After a training session about houseflies and the spread of disease, a group of healers approached the Techiman District Council, asking for improvements in sanitary facilities. The result was a new latrine construction program. With the healer's assistance, a new type of composting latrine sealed from flies was selected. Other cooperative projects have been undertaken by the healers. They cleared and cleaned 2 streams used as water sources in neighboring villages and began planting an herbal arboretum.
We are starting this area where we are putting up our arboretum, the herbal garden. And we are cutting the line through all the size of the area. We thought of this arboretum because we foreseen that in future, if we don't take any precaution, we were short of herbs, because bushfire is destroying most of the herbs as well as the farmers. In future, if there's no herbs around, we can go in there to correct herbs. The name is Psychic Wonder Powder. It is herbs, granulated one, and I hope it is far in the packet. And the cost is 15 cedis each. For we sell it 10 cedis instead of 50. So if you buy 2, it's 30, but we reduce it to 20 cedis.
The Techiman healers also discourage the activities of disreputable herbalists who occasionally sell cures in the market. This concern for professional ethics is recognized and encouraged by the Western health workers.
Western medicine takes interest only in the physiological aspect of the disease and leaves the rest of the man. But the traditional medical practitioner takes account of the whole man. He is aware of the physiological disorders. That is why he gives the patient the herbs and the roots. But he is also aware of the other aspects of the disease, namely the social and the spiritual aspects of the disease. And he tries to take care of both, so that his approach is more holistic than the hospital treatment, which only concentrates on just the physiological disorder. The hospitals usually take a very clinical attitude to human beings, but there's more to man than just his clinical aspect.
The more total approach of the indigenous healer to illness is probably best reflected in the treatment of psychiatric diseases and psychosomatic diseases. I think here is an important opportunity. I think that in these cases the healers have something to offer to the patients. Usually when these illnesses occur, I advise the patient also, besides drug treatment, to consult a traditional healer.
For quite a while we've referred patients to them that have psychiatric illnesses. There are also some that for a long time we have known have been very, that we have known of for a long time that have been very skillful in fractures. In fact, they often get quicker and better results than we get with the traditional casting and splinting in the hospital.
Fracture treatment in this area is usually characterized by the fact that most of the people want to consult a traditional healer for it. Most of them only come to the hospital to confirm the diagnosis by X-ray. Later on they go to the traditional healer. If we apply plaster of Paris cast, the white stuff as we are used to do, they will usually remove that after a few days and still consult a traditional healer for it.
Bandage on it.
At the village of Aworowa, a traditional bone setter demonstrates a successful fracture treatment.
This way.
Small sticks served as splints and herbal mixtures were applied to help heal the flesh.
Most of their treatments are effective in the sense that they recognize also that when you immobilize a broken limb for a certain period of time, it will heal. And that is essentially our treatment also. I think here is an important feature where we can work together. It is better to cooperate with them from the beginning then and teach them to recognize the dangerous fractures than to discourage the native treatment for fractures. where the people will go eventually anyway. You told me that you are going to start to have people stay around your place.
Yeah.
That you are getting your own sort of clinic.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Can you tell me something more about it?
Well, yes, because I know when I get people around here, they will be better in time than to come in and go.
Yeah.
Yes. Maybe at times you give the medicine to the person and he left you. He is going to cause him harm whilst you are not there. But when the patient is near you, you can treat him anytime.
I see.
Yeah.
So we're going to be neighbors very soon, eh? Then, when you have your hospital here.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. What are the symptoms of severe dehydration? Show us on this kid. Can you bring the kid up here? Show us how he
sunken eyes.
Instructors for the Preti program spend weeks preparing their course materials, and regular review sessions check the course's effectiveness. In the first 2 years, nearly 80 healers became Preti graduates.
With the amount of time and effort we put into the project, we're interested in ascertaining just how effective the project is. We can show that the healers remember roughly 60 to 70% of the information that we teach them. Previous to the program, the atypical treatment of a dehydrated child was to give it a red pepper and ginger enema. Now this is obviously counterindicative, because if the body water of the child is low and you give it an enema, it's going to lose even more water. And often this causes the child to go into convulsions. What we've taught them is that they should look for the signs of dehydration and prepare a rehydration drink. It's essentially a sugar salt solution, primarily water, and the only thing it really does is restore the body water. Now we can show that 80% of the healers now use this and do not use the red pepper and ginger enema.
During one of the classes, actually it was the class on convulsions, when I was just starting it by going around to the healers and saying, you know, what do you do if a patient comes to you with convulsions? And one man said that he used a cold sponge bath for the children. And I found that rather interesting, because it has not been the traditional method, or at least not what has traditionally been told to us by the healers and by the mothers when they come in. And so I said, well, you know, how long have you been doing this? And he said, oh, I have a friend that took the first course, and he told me about it. And so I tried it, and it works much better than what I was doing before. And so now that's what I use for the children.
Aided by Kofi Ifa and Kofi Dunkor, a young priest coincidentally named Kofi Owusu carries his shrine. He shares a compound with his niece Afuya Umframa. Both Priest Owusu and Priestess Umframa are graduates of the Primary Health Care Training for Indigenous Healers program in Techiman.
Since I began the training program, I've had more patients come to me. Today, my practice is more popular. And if a patient's condition requires a doctor's treatment, I will send him or her to the hospital. Now I can examine a child and tell by the way his eyes are sunken and by his head that he is dehydrated, and I can prepare him a drink with water, salt, sugar, and maybe even pineapple and give him a water supplement. Or I can prescribe the proper foods which can bring a patient to a quick recovery. So the program has had many advantages. And I get more patients now, which bring more money and more recognition.
So now we are going to talk about measles. Yeah? So this little one, hey, has measles. What do we look for in a child with measles? How can you see that? I think the most basic thing about a cooperation is understanding, mutual understanding. If we can get the trust of them and we show them that we are not mistrusting them, there will be a way of working together. In this project we try to teach. At the same time, listening to their ways of treatment shows them the confidence we have in their willingness to cooperate. I think the cooperation with them is also very important. By showing our trust in them, we have seen some advantages already. For instance, Kofi Donko in town, where I at times also refer patients with fractures or with psychiatric diseases, is also referring patients to me. He even writes letters to that effect.
Akuya Anane is unique in that her deity called her to its service rather late in her life. She is nearly 50 years old. She will spend 5 years as an apprentice to Kofi Donkor, learning herbal cures, ritual dances, and how to use her deity's knowledge for healing.
What are the complaints?
Akuya complains of an abscess on her ankle, which she says was caused by termite bites. Since her own herbal cures proved ineffective, she seeks treatment at Holy Family Hospital.
How long ago?
A week ago.
Can you explain to her that there is a deep boil inside, that there is a nasty boil who has gone inside, and we need to cut it open to release the contents of the boil? Extra gauze. Extra gauze, yeah.
She should lay down.
She should lie down. Lie down. Lie down. Aha. Aha.
She won't feel anything.
No, we will give a small injection.
I said that, and then after that she won't feel anything. She won't feel anything.
Here comes the injection, huh? Can you raise the table a bit? Yeah? There comes the injection. No. Yeah? There comes another injection. You have it? Okay, finish. Okay, bed dressing over. Just easy.
Yes, it possessed.
Perhaps prompted by pain, Aquia goes into possession. Back home at Kofi Dunkor's compound, Aquia is given her first Western medications.
Once a day.
And we can take it now. One time every morning. So she can do it tomorrow morning.
Previously, the doctors did not understand what we were doing, but now they work with us. The doctors find there may be a sickness of a spiritual nature that they cannot cure, and they will send that patient to us for treatment. At first, we did not cooperate with the doctors, and there were many things we did not know. But now, in our association with the hospital, we work with the doctors. If I go there and there is a disease I can treat, I treat it. And if I have a patient with a disease I cannot treat, I refer him to the hospital. This is good and it will help the nation.